Hello and good morning, everyone. My name is Tom Nagel. I'm the Public Information Officer for the City of St. Louis's Community Development Administration. So thank you, everyone, for attending today. We are going to present our 2026 Program Year Community Development Block Grant funding priorities, our award recommendations. So as I said, my name's Tom Nagel. I'm the Public Information Officer. So my role here is to get the word out about public hearings like this, to let you, residents in the community and CDA stakeholders, provide your feedback and your input to help us guide our decision-making and our work for the city of St. Louis. I also have with me Rashonda Alexander, our Director of Compliance, and Kevin Ellison, our Executive Assistant. And I will let Rashonda introduce herself and start this presentation.
Good morning. To our 2026 Annual Action Plan and Funding Recommendation Public Hearing. This is a part of a process that we started back in July, and we do it on an annual basis to administer HUD funds to the city of St. Louis. Next slide.
Share my screen. Second.
Just a little overview of our agenda. We are going to tell you a little bit about CDA for those of you who may be new to the administration. We'll also give you a quick CDBG overview of the program. And then we're going to run through the annual action plan and then the elements of the action plan, along with those agencies that were recommended for funding. Next slide. A little bit about CDA. CDA is the clearinghouse for the city of St. Louis. We have 3 tenants where we intend to empower, develop, and transform the city of St. Louis through making federal grant awards and local awards to subrecipients, contractors, and developers to benefit the city. Next slide. We're made up of 3 primary divisions: our fiscal, compliance, and construction teams. Our fiscal team is made up of accountants, managers, and auditors who really are the engine of CDA. Our compliance team makes sure that we are drafting the reports and criteria reporting for CDA to HUD and any other federal agency. Our team will conduct monitoring visits and provide technical assistance to our subrecipients. And then we have our construction division, which is a team of engineers and tech and analysts who work on housing production and development throughout the city, various funded programs. Next slide. This is all led by and in response to the Economic Justice Action Plan. It is a transformative document that was created out of the lens of equity. And we know that equity is a precondition of growth. And those 3 tenets of empower, develop, and transform are out of the Economic Justice Action Plan, which has been driving our work for these past few years. Next slide. Here are some examples of investments in particular the South City of St. Louis. We have a newsletter, which you should subscribe to with all of this information, because I know on these slides it can be a little small. But feel free to zoom in and see if your neighborhood is represented with any of the investments that we've made in housing. Next slide. Stabilization, next slide. Maybe I should take that. I think I can maybe take that if possible to do this.
Look at it.
Yeah,
I'm just pouring this so we can folks see what we're.
these are some examples of investments that we've made across the city. I went to the next slide a little bit too fast. My apologies. So HUD funds several programs, which are called entitlement programs. The one that we are speaking of today are CDBG funds, which stands for Community Development Block Grant Funds. Typically, we receive around $18 million annually. This year, we've awarded a little 7.4, a little over 7.4 million based on projections of an unfortunate decrease in funding. Our executive director likes to bring up a very good point about index to inflation, that this 18 million would typically be around 90 million. So we're doing a lot with not as much as it would be if we were getting that 90 million. Can you imagine? I can't. What did I just do here? Moved a little too fast. And we're back. So our home funds average around 3 million, emergent solutions grant funds, 1.5, and then HAPWA, which is used for those persons living with HIV and AIDS and their families, typically receive around $3 million a year. So out of this funding cycle, these 4 entitlement programs are funded and awarded here, and we'll be discussing that. Last year, we completed a 5-year consolidated planning process where we had intensive citizen participation, feedback, meetings, surveys, engagement to line out and outline the plan through 2029. Out of that 5-year plan, now we are in the second year of 2026, and this action plan is related to it. We scheduled the first public hearing for it in July. We released the RFP in August. We did a appropriation hearing in September, and now we are doing our official public hearing of the second nature now in November. After this process, we will submit this action plan to HUD and await a grant agreement that usually happens the middle of 26 of the following year. In March, by the end of March, on the 30th or 31st, we will submit a consolidated annual performance evaluation report, which we call the CAPER. And that's our documentation to HUD that says how we performed with our partners and subrecipients in the previous year. So this takes you through the entire entitlement program funding process. The essential elements of the consolidated plan were consultation, citizen participation. We did a needs assessment, which detailed the housing and social needs of the low to moderate income household, a market value analysis, and that was a model of the city's residential property market. We did an analysis of impediments to fair housing to really identify the discriminatory practices that were in violation of the Civil Rights Act, and then a strategic plan, which set forth the housing production and provisions for social services. Out of that planning process, we met some wonderful people and still are in dialogue with the Community Advisory Committee. We did surveys, open houses. We met with specific stakeholders throughout our community, particularly the St. Louis Housing Authority, and local CDCs, and COCs. We did social media. Thank you, Tom, because we have more participation than ever. And these priorities came from the meetings to strengthen citizen participation, to create and maybe sunset or redesign some programs, to have an update to the affordability policy, design new neighborhood revitalization strategy areas. We call those nurses, but we do and did submit an application to HUD for new nurses and await their response. And we also applied for intended to apply for a Section 108 loan guarantee program. Some of the program redesigns were for problem properties. They were moved to code enforcement. Operation Brightside was an administrative category for planning and admin, which has a cap, and it was moved to interim assistance. The same with SLDC, moved to economic development. CREA moved to planning and admin, and the facade program to commercial rehabilitation. And then we opened up food pantries from LMI to LMA, which is low moderate area instead of based on income. I just looked and saw them on two screens here. This is hilarious. You're getting all these angles. Oh, me. In our housing policy update, our for sale policy, loan agreement, promissory note, person agreement, and CDA loan forgiving program sale at affordable housing enforcement. The recorded deed of trust, the buyer had to pay back down payment assistance at a discounted pro rata over the course of a 5-year period. And the challenge was that it was in strong markets. The affordable sale price was below market. So we made adjustments regarding the affordability policy. There are also other policies surrounding LIHTC, architectural plan rights, and fair housing protections. Can I pass this back to you, Tom?
Yes.
Earlier, we discussed the NRSA application. These are the designated areas that after consultation within community, we submitted. Out of the 5, we received approval for the choice NRSA and still have pending response for our other proposed neighborhood revitalization strategy areas. Next slide. We did a Section 108 program overview, which is a loan guarantee program that would help to incentivize and service collateral for more development within the city for large housing, public facilities, infrastructure, and economic development projects. And this, we hope, will improve our resilience against natural disasters. Next slide. Our process was, well, this is actually how it will work. We would get the money from HUD, the borrower will request from us. It goes through a fiscal agent to the lender, and then we pay HUD back. So initially we approve the application, get the authorized agreement through HUD, and then move on to the Board of Aldermen for authorized appropriations through ordinance. This is a process that is not in queue for us, but we did want to give you a Section 108 structural overview. Next slide. Next slide. Some of the potential investments in the 108 application to HUD that we presented were the transformation loan pool, the major rehabilitation loan pool, the downtown revitalization loan pool, and distressed properties loan pool. Next slide. Now to the meat of today's presentation, the 2026 action plan and funding recommendations. Next slide. Next slide. And let's just continue to go through.
Do we want to make sure?
Yeah. Let's continue to go through all of these, and then we will also share an updated slide here coming soon, because these are out of a prior year. So we want to get that adjusted really quickly. And now I'm understanding why we were talking about the Section 108 process at the time. Give us 1 second, guys.
Go ahead and mute.
So this is what I did in the meantime while we are doing some things in the background, because we are here to know about the funding recommendations for 2026. You'll be able to find these on the city's website, going to CDA and then clicking on the FY 2026 annual action plan and budget. And there you will find all of these funding recommendations. I think the work that we do in the community is so important, and this document is very comprehensive, and it details all of our funding recommendations that we made for the upcoming year and exactly where they fall under which eligible activity. It was presented to the HUD's committee and did get approved and moved successfully through the HUD's committee, and will be sent to HUD with these following recommendations. So I'm just going to continue to show all of these here.
Kevin just sent this.
Okay. So, oh, we are back in business, you guys.
I'm sorry. It's my bad. I got.
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. We actually do have what we need up.
Okay, so I will share this.
Thank you, Kevin. I was just going to go through one by one. We were going to talk about public services. We're going to go through all of those eligible activities and just list all of our wonderful and amazing subrecipients and intergovernmental agencies. Okay, we're back. So in 2026, we awarded over $17.4 million across eligible activities of public services, interim assistance, homeowner assistance, housing production, economic development, public improvements, and planning and admin. Next slide. And then here you will find more beautiful pictures instead of an Excel spreadsheet of the work that we do in the community. Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers Big Sisters, Carondelet Betterment Federation, and City Seniors, Covenant House of Missouri. All are subrecipients recommended this year. Criminal Justice Ministry, Employment Connection, Jean Slay, Hope House. There are just so many, but we really wanted to list them here in transparency and to say thank you out of gratitude for your continued work in the community. And we'll just go through these next slides. For visibility, so you can see the action in the community. This is our interim assistance category where we fund LRA and then also the Department of Recreation and Forestry through Operation Brightside, our homeowner assistance program, where we partner with Mission St. Louis and also the building division through our healthy home repair inspections. Economic development, we had talked earlier how we recategorize some of our planning and administrative partners, intergovernmental partners, in order to provide more accessible funds in our planning public services category. And the public improvement project for this year is the Clinton Peabody Street and Sidewalk Improvement. They received a $500,000 funding reservation. And then under planning admin, our partners and ourselves who work to administer these funds. We are in the notice of public comment, and that will be through the 12th. That's next Tuesday. If you have any comments, feel free to share them with us. You are so welcome. Your voice matters. We want to hear from you. We thank you for your time today. You know how to find us at stlouis-mo.gov/CDA. And that concludes our public hearing. If you have any questions, please lift them up now. I know this was different than our other hearings, but we make it work. The one thing we are is resilient. And all of this is public information that you can find and share and provide us your feedback. I'm going to go on mute here so that Tom could have the floor and ask any questions to the audience. Hi.
Hi.
Are you here for a public hearing?
Yeah.
Come on in, have a seat. Welcome, great to see you. Here, let me get you a have one of these. Yeah.
So we
have
are,
a seat.
hello, everyone. We are now in our public comment and question part of this public hearing. So Tony, if you could make sure the chat is open to all participants. So guests can, we have some guests in the room. You can put questions and answers in the chat. Or you can put questions and answers in the Q&A, or go ahead and raise your hand, and we will bring you on live. So I see questions are starting to come in, so we'll just kind of take these one at a time. I did see a question. Yes, we moved through the slides pretty quickly because we respect your valuable time. This information, Rashonda showed that table that is posted on CDA's website. City's website /CDA/CDBG. You'll be able to find a link to that. And then I will post this slide deck to that main 2026 CDBG page, which I will put in the chat now. And from here, you will be able to find a link to the press release. I'm going to try and type and talk at the same time, but I won't. From this URL, you will find a link to the press release that shows all the information we just shared in the slide deck and that table. And right after this meeting, I will post that slide deck. In the Q&A, Tiffany asks, are these grants open to apply for now? The answer is no. This funding cycle opened this summer and closed in September. And what we are announcing today is the award reservations. So these are our recommendations that will be legislated by the Board of Aldermen. And today is your opportunity to provide public feedback.
for CDBG traditionally opens in July. So if you did not get a chance to apply this year and you are an eligible applicant, you can look forward to July of 26. Okay, and then from there, we begin that process for 27.
Thank you, Rashonda. And then we'll just kind of go through the chat here. Cynthia asks, so did the city apply for section 108 and was it approved?
So the city did not apply. We did a lot of due diligence, but did not apply for the section 108 loan program through HUD. If we do receive approval to move forward, we have done a lot of due diligence and would be able to apply if giving the green light to do so.
And then an attendee asks, can we discuss the for sale affordability policy section again? The housing policy update slide?
Yeah, so that is not a part of this presentation, which is why we had to take that down. This is not about the affordability and housing policy update, but there is and was a policy update, and there are related documents that you can find online. This is not the forum for it, which is why we had to quickly switch gears, because we are obligated by HUD for our public hearings to be for the topic at hand. And in this case, it was for the FY26 action plan and funding recommendations for CDBG, home, ESG, and
We had a little technical difficulties and everyone learned a lot more than they expected, but we got through it. We found the right slide deck. Thank you, Kevin.
we have way better housing experts than myself who will be able to answer those questions. So should you have any, feel free to drop those into the chat with your information, and then we can get those to our team members who are subject matter experts and can help you in that regard in a way.
John, I'm not sure I understand this question, but we'll try and work through it. This participant asks, I saw that a lot of funds were awarded back to CDA. Will those funds be available to organizations through different means of applying? Does that mean that maybe some awards aren't going through and how we reallocate? Maybe that's the question.
Okay, and so I think I understand what you're saying. If the funds weren't awarded back to CDA, planning and admin category is to pay for employees who do the work that HUD requires. And so that's why it's not funded back necessarily or given to. It's the way for us to do the work in the community. I hope that helps. I think it's maybe HUD's way of saying capacity building and their local governments. Otherwise, there are no people to work in the community to administer these funds or to have these happy public hearings and do all this, engagement with the community.
Another participant asks, is there a complete list of the agencies recommended to receive funding?
Yes.
And the answer is, and I'm putting that in the chat, on our main page for CDBG 2026, there's a link to the recommendations and it's in the press release. And then the same person asked, I think we should clarify, there's probably a typo on the website that I will find. The public comment period ends on the 12th.
It ends on the 12th, yes.
30 days
Mhm.
post October 10th.
Yes.
Okay.
We do have a question in the room, I believe.
No, I'm just kind
Okay,
of listening.
okay.
Okay, another attendee asked, how many first-time applicants were awarded funds? And how many of them are small businesses of agencies of, I assume this would be an operating budget of 2 million or less. That's an interesting question. I don't think we have a clear number, but we could skim the list and maybe report back if you wanted to write to us, we could answer that. I don't want to report anything off the top of my head.
What was the question?
How many first-time applicants were awarded? And how many of them were small agencies of $2 million or less?
Oh, that's the perfect answer.
They clarified if it was a business or agency of $2 million of revenue or less.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to make
I think.
estimate.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Cause I got school.
Okay, yeah, just join us. Yeah. There was a typo in the newsletter that went out yesterday, and it's my fault that I used the same language to notice the Board of Aldermen hearing last week. And so some people who wanted to attend in person went to City Hall. That is my mistake, and I apologize for that.
Well, they're here.
And they're here. They
And-
made it in time for Q&A.
That's right.
First. I better go find her first.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions in the chat?
Amina asks, is there a certain level of experience you have to be awarded funds? I imagine this is someone who might want to apply next year.
Yeah, so you would definitely need to have capacity to administer HUD funds. It is very cumbersome. It is detailed. It is complicated. And the required reporting for HUD is a lot for large agencies with 15, 20 employees on hand. So I would just be committed to knowing that reading the regulations and requirements will be really, really useful, and that I believe you can try, absolutely. But it is not an easy funding source to work with.
You're speaking, still looking at me.
Okay.
And I love the screen time. Just join us, sit wherever there's chairs available.
Thank you.
We do have some folks that joined us in the room. Does anyone here have any questions about or comments about the CDBG 2026?
Remember when we were downtown at City Hall?
Yes, and I
Got directed here, and so it's here, so we haven't heard anything reference to.
Okay.
When they give it.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah, we have familiar faces, yeah. Did you all apply this funding cycle? Yes.
Yes, but we had about 3 things out there still in limbo. One that was early.
No, and.
Oh, this is not for that one. Okay, but it's always good just to get more information. Okay. Yeah. So if you are a qualifying applicant, you're a nonprofit or a developer, in July of 2027, this process will start again. And I would look at this year's RFP. No. Right, yeah. Yeah, so that, yes, I do.
We have our workshop and then I think we devised, we can't help people because we need to be fair, but there are people in the world and the city that can. Without, however you want to say.
Oh,
'Cause
that's true.
TV.
That's absolutely correct. There are just some questions in here. I hope everybody is able to hear that. So technical assistance is available for applicants. We have workshops and public hearings to provide that service to any applicant during the funding cycle. In July for, yeah, next cycle.
Issues. Should.
Yeah, and the best way to stay informed on that is to go to CDA's homepage. So it's the city's website /CDA. And then right there, there's a form and you can subscribe to our newsletter. And I know you guys do subscribe because you read the typo that I'm apologizing again for. That I used the address for the last meeting. I say you City Hall. Sorry about that. It's my bad.
So does affordable housing.
Yeah, I think the short answer is yes.
Okay, so let's say I'm gonna use this out. If a developer
Mhm.
or an investor buys a conglomerate of houses in a neighborhood, and it's for low income to moderate tenants, and it is under market rate, and they're developing that or redeveloping that, would that qualify?
I think that person or a conglomerate or entity should apply. I
Okay,
think when you are HUD language and guidance is very black and white. It's not anything you have to kind of guess about. And we have to adhere to what HUD guidance says.
okay,
So if you feel that your project and meets the criteria and that the applicant is eligible, apply and try.
okay.
That's always gonna be my answer. And then you could see what happens, but you have to apply and try. Because it is a competitive, open process. So,
Rashonda, could you just repeat that question for our friends on Zoom?
the question, I hope I'm repeating it. Okay, the question was, if a developer or a conglomerate bought property, housing in a low, if a developer, conglomerate, or investor purchased property in a low, moderate income area and wanted to apply for these in the target areas, and if they wanted to apply for these funds, is it eligible? And I said the short answer is yes, it is, if they are eligible applicant, if they should apply and try. You're welcome.
Is there some specific funding veterans and 100% disabled veterans that are developing for other veterans, specifically take care of veterans and disabled veterans?
CDBG funding, okay, the question is there specific funding for veterans
And
and disabled veterans?
also, I know that I've been advised that 100% disabled veterans that are developing to assist other veterans, there's special funding for them and some entities also.
Okay.
So I want to focus on some of that.
Okay, so the question is there funding for veterans who are assisting other veterans, specific funding for that demographic? And my answer is, I have not seen that through this funding cycle. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist throughout the city, but this is a specific entity of the entire city. And these are a specific set of funds.
I have another question.
Okay,
Is there any specific funding that is designated to address the high crime rate in the city of St. Louis to protect the residents that you bring into your facilities also.
The question was, is there a specific funding source
Mhm.
for crime prevention is what I'm
Yes.
going to call it, because crime
Sure.
prevention is a category that's outlined as an eligible use.
Okay,
Crime prevention.
Okay.
Okay,
or deterrence also. Never totally prevent it, but you can deter something.
so that is, if a person were interested in work like that,
Yes,
it's a public services category,
yes.
and you would zoom in on that particular label.
Back in the chat, there's some questions about from folks that are first-time applicants or have applied before but were not awarded this year. And Rashonda, is there a way to get feedback on applications? I understand that they could request a meeting for feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. They can request a meeting for feedback. It goes through scoring. We can provide the scores and any raters' comments to you. Absolutely.
Right, and to do that, they would contact, he's on the Zoom.
Okay.
And will, I hope, share his email, but Kevin Ellison, our executive assistant, would be happy to schedule feedback meetings on your application. If you'd like to meet with CDA staff and learn about how you can apply next year and improve your application, we're happy to schedule those.
Yeah.
How many participate a number that's participating in Zoom right now? Is there numbers up?
There are 17 people. The question was, we have 5 guests in the room. And how many people are on Zoom? We have 17 people joining us on Zoom.
Sure. Yes, also there's, are you familiar with SCORE?
No, sir.
There's an organization called SCORE. And they have retired executives. Because I used to be a banker and there's this housing authority director, they asked some people with that experience to come and serve and to help people like yourself with doing some development in your package. And they will, yeah, SCORE. You know something? Okay, just let me give you a.
Maybe we'll let's because we people on Zoom, we're kind of on this meeting, so we're gonna keep a little order, but I appreciate we have a guest in the room recommending SCORE. It's a retired executive group that is great to help people applying for the first time. As we've mentioned before, CDA really can't help. We can give feedback, but we can't help with applications. We have to be fair and competitive. But we believe that the St. Louis community is generous and we all have the same shared goals and values. And we recommend you look at the awardees from this year and previous year and give them a call. I'm sure they would help advise you if you are looking to apply.
I have a question. It's is the information type of awards, are they on record in such a way that once past that time period that you can get some specifics on how someone applied and was awarded some funding? Some of the information gets to be open after a while in some areas. I don't know if your information is, someone was awarded one of your grants later on after the fact. Is that open in public information?
It's on their website,
Okay.
the award, and then it's a chart, so they have different charts. And the awards there.
Yeah,
the
we're-
funding.
Why don't you let him?
So the question in the room was, is there a way to see who was awarded in the past? Yes. On CDA's website, you can look at the press releases. Yeah, and you can look at the chart of who was awarded. It sounded like there was a nuance in the question of, can you see an actual application? And is there public information that is not published on our website, but of course, everything the city does is public information, so I'll just share, if you did want to make a sunshine request, you can request any document you'd like to see from the city through that formal process. We're gonna get back into the chat. There's a question, how many agencies were awarded in 2025 did not receive a recommendation or renewed in 2026? I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, we don't have that metric. We could get the
We
metric.
could, or you could even look at last year's and compare it yourself. That would be homework if you would like to do that. I'm seeing questions. I know we got a little off track with, we were using not the slide deck we planned on at the beginning. Rashonda, do you want to talk a little bit more about this Section 108 program? I know we got people excited about that, but we were using some old information. And then do you mind unmuting there? And then I'm gonna mute mine. We got off track. I apologize. It was a glitch.
There has to be approval for any submission to HUD. And beyond CDA, the Section 108 loan was not applied for. So that's the information that we have. Should we receive clearance to apply, we did tremendous due diligence and will be prepared to request and submit an application to HUD if given the, permission to do so.
Tommy, you're on mute.
They can hear. So, thank you, Amy. Amina asks, if you are new to applying for grants and you don't have the previous experience or capacity in place to manage these types of funds, does that count against you when you are applying?
So Amina, I would say that it does not count against you, but it definitely doesn't count for you. There is a part of the scoring criteria, and you will want to make sure that any subrecipient that's receiving federal funds can actually administer those funds and do what, that they applied to do. And you do want the subrecipient to have the capacity to manage those funds. So the short answer is no, it doesn't count against you, but it doesn't count for you. You would definitely want to have management experience and capacity to administer this level of funding from the federal government, which has strict oversight.
We have a question in the room.
On to that question, do you have a list of qualified people that some people who are coming in can utilize, that you guys have seen, that they know what they're doing with the funding that can help us like that?
Yeah, so I think that circles back around to just a cohort, connecting, looking on the website and seeing like, you know what, they got funded. They've been getting funded for some years. Let me connect with them. Let me connect with them and see.
Are there some agencies that you guys have certified?
We don't certify agencies.
Oh, you don't?
No,
Right.
but great question.
Yeah, and I think that is a common question. There is an industry of grant writers where you can hire someone to help you write a grant. Rashawn and I and CDA are here to ensure a very fair and competitive process, so we're not going to recommend anyone, but we live in a tight-knit community. There's plenty of people that can help you find someone to help. Yeah. There's another question in the chat. Do we put new organizations applying in front of organizations that have typically received funds before? Because it seems like many of the same organizations get funded again and again, and this is a comment that is common. I think it speaks to just understanding the application process and the high level of compliance that it takes to use federal funds.
I would also like to echo, earlier, I mentioned how our executive director will say index to inflation, this would be around $90 million or so. And I want to bring back focus that these are congressional funds, all related to really voting at the end of the day. And when you have your congressmen appropriate funds, and those funds are appropriated to cities. And if, I don't know if you've heard, but CDBG has been on the chopping block. So you have to really advocate for these funds to come into your local government and so that they could be available. Maybe, write letters that say, hey, we're getting like 17 million, it keeps getting cut. It should be around 90 million, index to inflation. Can you carve out some more money for the city of St. Louis so that they can give it to us? That's how you could help us, have more funds available to go around. I know it's not anything that we'd like to hear, but it's something that we do need to kind of talk about and kind of keep all of the ways very clear of how we do receive these entitlement funds through these entitlement programs.
Yeah, Rashonda, I thought that
Okay,
there's such a good educational point that you mentioned that CDBG, maybe you could repeat it, was funded and started in 1974.
CDA.
CDA with the creation of the Community Development Block Grant Program. Today, the city receives about 25 million, but if you could repeat that statistic again, that if.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Tom. So the statement is, the city of St. Louis receives around $25 million through HUD for these purposes. Index to inflation, that would be around $90 million. But that's not what we have.
Yeah, if it hadn't changed since 1974.
Yeah,
If it had gone with inflation, so.
thank you.
We have a question in the room.
Has the funding already been allocated because the country is shut down right now?
No,
So it's gonna have to be after all.
that is okay. We have some great people in the room that are asking amazing questions. I don't think that you heard it, but the gentleman asked, is the funding even available now? And I said, no, it's not. And he said, because the government is shut down. The other thing to note is the funding is never available. It's never available. So a lot of the, not a lot, all of the subrecipients and developers receive their funds on a reimbursement basis. I think Amina had asked about capacity and management. Another big part of it is being able to float yourself financially, because you will do the work and you're not getting the money for months waiting to be reimbursed. And some smaller organizations just can't wait. I cannot wait 6 months, 7 months, 8 months or whatever to get reimbursed. So when we award these funds, the city doesn't even have the money. So the city is floating us, waiting to get reimbursed from the federal government. Thank you for that question, because I don't even think we talk about that. Yeah, so we don't have the money, but we do have these recommendations for 2026, and we're looking forward to receiving it from the federal government when they reopen in 2026.
Water fund. Upfront. Well,
This is the funds are awarded on a reimbursement basis. So you are a agency, you're doing great work in the community. Maybe you have a crime prevention program and you've been patrolling neighborhoods, you've been working in whatever capacity through an eligible activity. And you're paying your people up front, you're doing all the work up front, you're buying everything up front, and then you submit an invoice and those approved costs are being reimbursed to your organization. So you front all the money. And then you're reimbursed for approved costs. Yeah, you will get reimbursed, but I think what people don't really understand is that it's reimbursed, not cash advance. So you do the work, then you supply evidence of eligible cost to, and then you are reimbursed for those.
Time frame. I think she was trying to get to between 12 and 18 months on that.
Reimbursement?
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's
What's your normal time frame? By your experience?
It varies, so.
and repeating the question.
Okay, so repeating the question, thank you, Tom, for keeping us all, pointed. The question is, with getting reimbursed, what's the timeline for reimbursement? And the answer is, it varies. It varies, it can be, it varies, but it's not 12 to 18 months.
What is your estimates? Minimum time, maximum time by your experience?
Yeah, so estimate, minimum by my experience, I would say 3 months. Maximum 9.
Okay.
These are all estimates. The answer for the record is it varies.
And then we have a question in the chat. This is a good question. Why does CDA work on reimbursement instead of advancing funds to these awardees? And if you can unmute, Rashawn.
We actually don't have the funding. So we are also being reimbursed.
Also ensure some level of compliance, I believe.
All of the above. And it's not, sometimes I can make things too flat and too simple. So the funding for the year of 26, which is what this action plan and hearing is about, the city has not received the funding for.
And that's called validation and verification of a project that someone has submitted the plans in and said they were going to do. All of that has to be done, so the banks and every agency that it checks off on it to verify.
Yes, and in the room, the point was made that also the program has to be verified, that it's compliant, on the fiscal side and on the programmatic side, also for reimbursement. Thank you.
Has BC had a process set up where they went out for the prior ones that were awarded 2024 and 25, and had someone physically go to see if those projects have been completed, only because if any fraud did exist, then at least some of that money would go back for actual eligible applicants that were trustworthy, and it could go back into the pot.
Absolutely. We have a team of monitors, analysts who are monitoring and analyzing projects. That's another reason for reimbursement, because things do exist. Sometimes we don't have good faith actors all the time. Most of the time, we absolutely have, we absolutely do. But there are times, so yes, monitoring is a key component.
But the only reason I ask is because on your past awards for 2024, there were some vacant buildings there, and there's still vacant buildings. So how did those, and I understand you have a whole new staff now, and this is a new mayor's administrative staff as well. SLDC has new people, CDA has new people, but how do you go back for those awards that were funded for those vacant buildings that are still vacant and sending awards back to the system?
Are you, I think the question may be if there is a bad faith actor that received funds and they did not do what they were supposed to do with the funds, what is the process to get the funds back? And it's a recapture process. And all of these are contracts. So if a contractual obligation was not met, then the city councilor and other people get involved to make sure that we're able to, capture the funds. And then housing, I know you have a strong housing focus, and housing takes a long time. So I don't know if they're vacant because they are still underway or if they're vacant because they were a bad actor. So I don't want to just make it seem like the vacant projects aren't moving, because sometimes they are and it takes a while. And it may not have been CDBG, ARPA funds and SLUR funds. Okay.
A person applied for funeral services, they weren't with it, and that funeral home is still vacant and not even been touched.
Yeah, can't speak to that specific project, I'm sorry. But if you know some information and you are, a resident of the city of St. Louis, you know something, you have all the autonomy to say something and use your voice for how you think funds should be spent in your city. Okay,
And if there's any concern, we'll, please talk after this meeting. We'll get your information.
Oh.
yes, sir.
I think a lot of times when she's trying to get an answer there, many times by the time they take it through the new process, all of that funding is not there anymore. It's gone. They wiped out quite a bit of that when there's some fraud that existed also. So it's never really totally reimbursed.
We still have a few questions in the chat. This one's interesting. Could CDA ask, I assume the federal government, for the funding structure to change so that CDA and the city could get all the funds or just partial upfront, so we could pass it along to the agencies faster?
Well, we, the people, get to tell our politicians what we, the people, would like to see. CDA is not a person that votes, but we, the people, are. So that's how Congress will be able to respond to us. The answer is no, CDA can't do that. CDA can make it known of what the people are requesting, but no, the people would have to make the politicians move and bring the money back down to the organization like CDA.
Great. I'm not seeing any new questions in the chat, but if I missed anything to our guests online, please raise your hand and we can bring you in virtually, or maybe just repeat your question in the chat. And this is your opportunity to provide your feedback on the 2026 funding recommendations, or just learn more about the CDBG process or CDA while we're here. Are there any more questions in the room? There's a question in the room.
Can I'm back and forth to Washington DC as a veterans advocate. And I see so much waste, even in Washington and with politicians, that I'm sorry, you're just not going to stop a lot of that. It's not going to happen. Yeah,
That's a comment.
that's kind. It's kind.
I do have
Only a comment.
in our, they, The money that is going to be retracted from Paul McGee, will that be a part of this money? Are they still pursuing that money to be reimbursed? Because as a city resident and a city investor, it is important to me that the city did give this man this type of money with the impression that it's going to redevelop X amount of North St. Louis, and that didn't happen. And so now it's been more than 5 years, and those funds could have been allocated to other smaller businesses such as that, because this one. And so that money isn't going to be retracted, so that we can prevent other developers from coming.
Yeah, so there's a great question in the room about Paul McKee, and the question is, will money be taken back from Paul McKee? This is a very complex issue with lots and lots of layers. I am not, Rashonda, correct me, aware of any actual funds that the city has given to Paul McKee. Paul McKee, I know, and most of what I know, we probably know the same thing from what we read in the newspaper. We know that Paul McKee is one of the worst owners of vacant property in the city. CDA is proud to fund the Vacancy Strategy Initiative and the Vacancy Collaborative that has done a lot of work empowering Northside neighbors, especially in JVL and Old North and St. Louis Place, and going after him. But to address that specifically, Rashonda, I'm not aware of, I do not believe there are any city funds, and I know for sure no CDA funds in any Paul McKee developments, because in my opinion, he's not, hasn't developed, but there are certain things that have been retracted from him, like not through CDA, but some redevelopment rights, and then through the state, some tax credits. But I do not want to comment on something when I'm not the expert, but
Yeah, I kind of wanted to zoom us back into
and
CDBG.
Yeah.
And the entitlement programs did not award, to my knowledge, anything to McKee through Home or CDBG or HOPWA or ESG, which is what this public hearing is about, that will go to HUD concerning the 2026 action plan and entitlement programs. And I think with that, we are coming to a close. Any additional questions here?
Have all of the ARPA funds been utilized to because I thought that ARPA funds, since they come from federal
ARPA,
government, they'll go back.
if we can conclude this CDBG public hearing, and we can talk about different funding sources right after we conclude this public hearing.
Shannon, well, let's just, there's one more question in the chat. And it's, if funds get pulled away from any of these recipients, do they get reallocated to other possible projects or awardees?
So there is a process for entitlement programs where if funds are not spent, they are recaptured. And yes, they are then reallocated. Great question.
That's all I see in the chat. Unless there's anything in the room, we might maybe count to 30.
Thank you so much for everybody here and everybody that is in the chat. This concludes our public hearing for the FY26 annual action plan for CDBG, Home, HOPWA, and ESG.
Great, and as always, we want to thank Tony and STL TV for facilitating this meeting and keeping all of our people online and in the room connected, and on YouTube, our fans on YouTube. So thank you, STL TV, always for facilitating this hybrid meeting.